In this video, we're talking about how to become an engineer, my top 10 pieces of advice so that you can become a successful one, and we're starting right now. Hey 1% Nation, I'm Jake Voorhees and welcome back to the 1% Engineer Show, where we empower young engineers to rise to the top 1% of their career. So if this is you, make sure you hit the notification bell and subscribe. In the description, you will find links to our Discord server, Instagram page, and the 1% Engineer Kit, and lots of other good things, guys, so check that out. We need a few more brand ambassadors and one person to be our Discord community manager, so if you want to be on the core team or the brand ambassador squad for 1% Nation, comment below and let me know. I'll email you. What is the main thing that you're doing to become a great engineer? Leave it in the comments below. Okay guys, so I get plenty of questions about how to become an engineer, whether you're going into university and you're trying to figure out which major is for you, if this is even the right avenue for your career. But either way, there's a long list of things that you can do from around 16, 17, 18 into your early 20s, all the way into your mid 20s to become a successful engineer. And this is my top 10 playbook of things that you can do about how you can become an engineer. So without further ado, let's get started with tip number 1, which is to have a vision for your engineering career. When I was growing up, guys, I had an ant colony, and I also played SimCity and lots of other games, and I would communicate my life and my career interests and my passion and my vision for that, and I used the things that were in my life at the moment to say, this is what I'm interested in, this is what I want to do, this is my plan for my next steps in life. And that's what you got to do, guys. You got to figure out what you want to do for your career, which type of engineering, and have a plan. If you're interested in aerospace and SpaceX and things like that, then maybe you should become a mechanical or an aerospace engineer and have a plan for how to do that. Which schools would you go for? Which skills do you need? Which companies do you need to follow? And likewise, say you had a vision for wanting to be a sports engineering designer and you're an athlete and you really wanted to have a certain type of dream job. Well, then which companies will hire you? Does Under Armour hire engineers? Does Nike hire engineers? Of course they do. But you have to have a vision and a plan for what you want in your type of engineering career, because I just made a video that was 100 different types of engineering. It's incredibly broad. There's millions and millions of engineers employed on the planet, and people won't know how to help you. People won't know how to give you advice. People won't know how to lead you to the next steps unless you have a plan and have a vision for your career. So what type of engineering do you think you might want to be? That's where you got to start. Have a vision for that career. Step number 2, guys, in becoming an engineer is you have to create an engineering avatar. Now, let's say you want aerospace engineering. I commonly use that as an example because I'm so passionate about the mission to Mars, the moon colony, SpaceX, everything that we're doing there. And that's what I would do if I was a 16, 17-year-old about to figure out what university major I would do. I wouldn't do civil, I would do aerospace right now. So I use that as an example. But within aerospace engineering, you have to choose a job avatar. That's tip number 2, is that do you want to just get your 4-year degree and then go off and work? Do you want to get a master's degree? Do you want to be a researcher? Do you want to be a professor? Do you want to work in the public sector and work in government and do a lot of civil service things? Do you want to be in the private sector and work for a company that is maybe smaller or maybe even bigger but isn't a government service type of engineering firm? Do you want to work at a startup like me? My team is only 8, 9, 10 people, and that's a whole different ecosystem. So you have to pick an avatar. An avatar is an ideal target or customer or goal. So you have to think, what is best for me? Do I like to research? That type of engineer is a little bit more quiet, introverted, can sit at their desk, and you might end up getting your PhD or Master's of Science in Engineering because that's a little bit more applicable to you. But if you're more of a people person and you like to have conversations and communicate, public sector is maybe perfect for you, because public sector engineering, if you work for the Department of Transportation or Department of Aviation or Department of Health as an engineer, you're usually in a regulatory role. So you're making sure that the companies that you hire are doing what you guys want with your federal money. So anyway, guys, there's lots of different types of engineering avatar roles out there. You have to think about what is the right one for you, because you can start to accumulate experience and momentum in that direction. Tip number 3 in how to become an engineer. This applies for people who are in high school, in university, and maybe even going back to school, picking another major, going into graduate school for engineering, is you got to take hard classes. Take the hardest classes, okay? So I knew I was going to go into engineering, so I took AP Calc, I took AP Statistics, I took AP History, even though history was an engineering class, but there wasn't a whole lot of AP courses. But I loaded up my schedule in my high school days, my grand finale, with a lot of STEM courses and things that would make me more applicable for engineering curriculums, because engineers have the hardest curriculum on the planet. There's more credit hours. I wasn't even able to take the same calculus classes and physics classes as business majors or other majors. It was literally a specific type of engineering course. It is actually harder, and so you need to be taking these harder classes early on in university. If you're an undecided major, why take the business calculus just to get by? Take the actual engineering calculus and take harder classes and get ready, because when I took the step into engineering, whether it was undergrad from high school or graduate school, I went to graduate school at University of Wisconsin for traffic, and that was a different step up, and that was a change. So you got to always be pushing yourself and making yourself as competitive as possible by taking the hardest classes, guys. That's what real 1% engineers do. Tip number 4 on how to become an engineer is you gotta load up your resume and your agenda, your schedule with extracurriculars. So a lot of people come to me and they say, hey, I can't get an internship because I don't have any experience. I can't get a research role with a professor because I don't have any knowledge about this. I don't have this, I don't have that. The solution to no experience in the early days is to do extracurriculars. Join an engineering club, okay? Go join a team. Steel Bridge or Solar Power Car or Concrete Canoe. There's so many different clubs and teams that compete, and they get experience and they start to realize, do I really like this type of field? It makes them more competitive for internships and other positions later. But in order to figure out what type of engineering you really should be in order to become the right engineer, you need to make sure that you're doing extracurriculars, you're getting experience, you're staying competitive, and most importantly, you know that this is the right avenue for you. Because if you join Solar Power Car and you realize, like, oh, actually I don't really like this automotive engineering thing, then maybe you need to go out for the rocket team. If you're a mechanical engineer, for example, then maybe you need to try out something else. But unless you do extracurriculars, you're not really letting yourself be most applicable to the next step, because you may be in the dark about where you should be headed, and you may be not as likely to get a role by the engineer standing next to you because you didn't take all those extracurriculars. So it's very important that you do all these extra things outside of your courses and outside of the typical demands to be an engineer, so that you can become the best engineer. And a piece of that is in understanding how to best become one, and you should be pushing yourself academically the whole journey, guys. My 5th tip for becoming an engineer is to change how you see the world. I remember a few times in my life, I can think back to these nostalgic moments where I was with a group of people, maybe my family or something, and we were in a situation where we were stuck and we couldn't figure something out. Something was broken, or we had a piece of technology that was in a disaster, and I literally had to come up with a MacGyver solution on the spot. I had to engineer my way through this situation. And I think this is quite large when you, in terms of the engineering skill sets, is to be able to stop and pause, and whatever's going on, calm down the situation, because usually when you're trying to solve a problem, there's some sort of crisis, there's some sort of issue, dilemma, time is being wasted, someone's getting hurt, some resources are being lost, something like this, but there's usually urgency around problem solving. There's somebody who's being impatient, something is going wrong. So you have to calm down, start to see the situation for what's really happening, and then you need to diagnose the situation. What's really going on? You need to identify the problem. And then when you identify the problem, you need to start looking at what's the fastest way to band-aid this right now, to fix this issue temporarily right now, and then how can I create a more deep, permanent solution for this issue? I've changed how I see the world in my life since engineering, and very commonly I'll be the one in a social situation or in some sort of predicament that comes up with a solution, because I'm breaking this down and I'm itemizing the actual scenario immediately in front of us and looking at it like an engineering problem and starting to navigate my way. And since I've been navigating my life in this fashion, things have been a little bit better. And I can see it in the workplace. I can see it when I'm doing homework and doing my tasks and things that I'm up to at night, not literally homework, but when I'm doing my own version of homework, I'm always trying to look at the world in a problem-solving engineering lens. So if you do this day in and day out, you're going to see more opportunities for improvement. You're going to be able to shave seconds off of things. You're going to be able to eliminate errors, and you're going to be a better professional, and you're going to become an engineer, guys. Okay, tip number 6 in how to become an engineer is you should be self-aware. A lot of engineers, they think that they're better at everything than everyone else. They think that they're smarter than most people, and they don't actually identify their own weaknesses. They walk into buzzsaws, they walk into traps, and they let their ego speak for themselves, and this is really bad. The best type of professional is somebody who knows what they're good at, and most importantly, they know what they're not good at. And they let other team members work on their weaknesses rather than trying to have an ego and say, oh no, I can do it all. I'm not going to delegate this to somebody. And if you know that you're not the best communicator, maybe you should be working on communication skills in your free time and things like this. But self-awareness is such a key skill in life, guys. One of the people that I follow the most, his name is Gary Vaynerchuk. He's one of the bigger content making and social media marketing entrepreneurs, got 800 to 1,000 employees within their company called VaynerMedia. But if you ask them what is the number one skill for entrepreneurs, which is even harder to make it in entrepreneurship than engineering, guys, is self-awareness. What are you good at? And most importantly, what are you bad at? Punt that bad stuff. Don't try to work on the bad stuff. Don't try to put yourself in a situation where you have to rely on the skills that you don't like and that you're inadequate with. Dish those off to your team. Work on the things that you're good on and punt the stuff that you're weak on. Don't even worry about that stuff. And if you really want to, you can try to amplify some of your weaknesses by working on them. But really, you should just not put yourself in those situations at all. If you're introverted, research, you don't like talking to people, and you're bad at communication, then know that and don't try to put yourself in an environment where you're not going to thrive. And with that being said, tip number 7 is in almost all cases, you need to work on communication. Even if you are social, more extroverted, leader type of engineer, your communication is something that you're going to need to work on forever, okay? And so if it's really, really poor, there's an incentive to work on it. And if you're somewhere in the middle, the better you can communicate, the better you can share your good ideas, the better you can negotiate, the better you can command attention at a conference or during a quarterly boardroom meeting where you have your C-suite executives there. The more you can communicate positively and effectively and be memorable, the more you're going to stand out, the more you're going to succeed, the more you're going to prevail in your career, because communication is king. And as I've navigated my career, people have always told me, oh, I cannot believe that you're an engineer. And that's because I'm a good communicator. And most engineers are not. So if you are, you will stand out and you will get more opportunities than most other people. So work on your communication, guys. Tip number 8, this is huge. I probably should have put it higher on the list, but it's to find a mentor. Mentorship is so big because these people who are your mentors have made mistakes that you don't need to make. They can connect you to opportunities that you would have never known, and they can link you into other people and resources that you didn't even know were on the planet. And so mentors are huge for success. And the way to think about it is this, guys. If you have vision for your career, if you have an avatar for where you want to be, if you've taken harder classes, if you've done extracurriculars to position yourself properly, if you change how you see the world and you're self-aware to actually work on what you need to be working on and punting the stuff that you don't, and you're communicating enough that you can find a mentor and convince them to give you your time, then what you should do is find somebody who is in the role where you want to be. Figure out where you want to go in your career. Figure out that if you want to be a automotive engineer at Tesla, then find an automotive engineer at Tesla and build a relationship with them and just spend as much time with them as you possibly can. Figure out where you're trying to go, 1% Nation, and hang out with people who are already there. That's what you got to do. And if you can find 3 to 5 different mentors who are all in different industries because you're not sure what you want to do yet, that's fine. If you want to find 3 to 5 different mentors who are all in one industry at different companies, now we're really talking. If you really know where you want to be industry-wise, sector-wise, and you have mentors and people looking out for you, 10, 15 different people, all in that one sector, all around your country, who can get you opportunities, this is huge. Find the video on informational interviews, guys. That's how you reach out to potential mentors and say, hey, I just want to learn from you because I think I might want your job one day, or a job like what you have one day. Can I just come in and learn from you and hear about what it's like to be in your career position for about 30 minutes? Is that okay? You ask for an informational interview, you will never get a no, guys. You will never get a no. So go out there and find a mentor. In fact, find 3 to 5 and you will be fine in your career. Tip number 8 is find a mentor. Tip number 9, guys, is a Jim Rohn tip. This is a success tip. It's not necessarily for engineers, but will help everyone. The tip is this, guys. You're the average of the 5 people that you hang out with the most. So if your brother or sister, your parents, or someone that you're around quite a bit are negative and complaining and don't have a good outlook for the future, then you're going to be negative and complaining and you're going to have a poor outlook for the future. But if you hang out with people who are optimistic about their career in engineering, if you hang out with people who have opportunities presented to them from your professors, if you hang out with people who hang out with other good people in engineering, and it is a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset, and you're looking up and you're snatching opportunities as they come by, this is who you want to be around. You don't want to be around people who are going to bring you down. You want to be around people who can bring you up, and you can bring them up too. You got to hang out with real 1% engineers, people who are going to go out there and crush it and kill it in their career and thrive. And that's how you got to do it, guys. You got to be able to help each other get there, because if you hang out with people who are going to soak up your energy, wear you down, and not make you think very positive for the future, then all of a sudden what you're going to be doing is not thinking very positive for the future, and it's going to be horrible for your career, for your psyche, and the total quality of your life in general. So change who you're around. It's going to change how you think. It's going to change your results, guys. So listen to the Jim Rohn effect. Switch out one of those top 5 people in your life who is negative and not so great, and spend a little less time with that person and replace them with somebody who's more positive and it's going to bring you up in the world. And finally, guys, tip number 10, this one is big, is to have a grand project. If you want to become a great engineer, then you have to have a grand project. My grand project is the 1% Engineer Show. There's something that I'm always working on and I'm trying to put time into it. I want to exemplify myself and my personal brand with it, and it makes me wake up every day with passion and excitement, and I'm making progress and building a community. That's what you need for your engineering career. You need something that you're working on, a blog or a portfolio or a collection of things that you've been working on, or something that is your grand project that's helping you get that dream job, that's helping you get into your PhD position, that's helping you get whatever you're trying to get, but something that is your grand project, your grand vision. I've been talking with a great engineer who I can't wait to collaborate with. Her name is Abir Achi, I think that's how you pronounce her name, but she has a YouTube channel on aerospace engineering. She's communicating her career about aerospace engineering, and I love it because she's showing her career, she's showing what she wants, and in a way it's a grand project for herself. Or you have engineers like Pat Sweet, he has a podcast and he has a community. Or you have Jessica Drusko, who also has a YouTube channel. But it doesn't have to be a content project, guys. It can just be a portfolio and a website that you keep online, or a collection of photos of engineering projects that you like going and checking out. It doesn't matter what the project is, but it should amplify your career direction. It should be something that you're really passionate about and enjoy working on, and it should be a really nice talking point in the room during interviews, at job fairs, at extracurricular team events, whatever. But something that is your grand project, something that helps you communicate and is a tangible example of tip number 1, which is that grand engineering vision. This grand project, tip number 10, brings it full circle all the way back to the grand vision that we talked about in tip number 1. So find your grand project, 1% Nation. Thanks again for watching the 1% Engineer Show, guys, where we empower young engineers to rise to the top 1% of their career. So if this is you and you want to be a great engineer, make sure you hit the bell and subscribe. Find the 1% Engineer Kit, the access to the Discord server, and the Instagram page in the description below. Check all that stuff out, guys. Make sure you comment. Leave a comment. How are you becoming an engineer? What are you doing in your day-to-day life? Make sure you drop that in the comments below. Check us out. Join the Discord server. Can't wait to see you there. We have about 200 engineers already. And thanks again on your quest to becoming a 1% engineer. We'll see you again in another video. Bye-bye.